Alice is a pilot of the British Royal Air Force. While flying a fighter jet across a rugged mountain in Afghanistan, she was shot down by local rebels at one of the most dangerous rebel strongholds. Alice was lucky enough to parachute in time, and she survived. Then Alice fled to a blocked abandoned bunker. At this moment, a group of rebels armed with guns chased after her and launched a fierce attack on Alice. In the chaos, a rebel exploded the gate of the bunker. Alice took the opportunity to rush in. It turned out to be a bottomless giant pit. In order to avoid the enemy's pursuit, Alice resisted her fear and climbed down the ladder and entered the depths of the bunker. In the room, Alice found a dead body, and the table was also covered with various messy documents and a miniature camera. Alice had no time to think, so she took the camera away. At this time, the rebels also arrived. A terrifying biochemical crisis was about to break out when the lights in the laboratory were turned on. Everyone was shocked by the scene. Dozens of containers were neatly placed in the laboratory. Alice in the dark suddenly took the opportunity to launch an attack, and the two sides fought fiercely for a while. Alice hid in the sewer in time and escaped from the laboratory. Seeing this, several rebels decided to chase her separately. To everyone's surprise, the monster in the broken container came back to life and killed the rebel in front of him on the other side. When Alice was climbing up the ground along the original road, a rebel suddenly reached out and grabbed her foot tightly. She couldn't get rid of it with all her strength, but in the next second, Alice fled out of the bunker in a panic and tied the gate with iron chains. However, the rebels guarding outside wanted to capture Alice alive, but they were frightened away by the monster. Alice also left the scene in a hurry. While escaping, she met a U.S. military team. After verifying Alice's identity, the captain confirmed that she was the pilot who was missing from the friendly army. So he took her, brought it back to the camp. After seeing the commander Lubin here, Alice told him what happened in the bunker. Lubin didn't believe what she said, but after seeing the miniature camera, he reported to his superior. The monsters in the bunker suddenly broke the containers and escaped. No one expected that the target of the monsters was their camp. Dozens of terrifying biochemical monsters attacking the camp. What despaired the soldiers was that the monsters moved so fast that even bullets could hardly penetrate their bodies. The camp was quickly captured by monsters, and most of the soldiers became their food. At this moment, a monster broke into Alice's tent and attacked her. The captives beside him broke free in time, took the opportunity to cut the monster, and saved her. The few remaining survivors gathered in a trench. Captain Arthur proposed to divide the troops into two groups. Let Alice and others go to the armory first to avoid the attack of monsters, while he and another companion went to rescue Commander Lubin. When they arrived, they saw Lubin beat the monster to death with a bat. Not long after, they all hid in the armory in order to find out the origin of the monster. Arthur asked the Afghan prisoners if they knew anything, and finally Czech compromised. It is said that in 1979, a meteorite fell here. The Russians invaded Afghanistan after hearing the news. The situation gradually began to reverse until 9 years later, just when they thought hope was coming, the locals disappeared one after another at night. Found people thought it was done by wolves and bears, so Czech's father took the lead in organizing the villagers to hunt wild animals together. The strange thing is that when the Soviet Union withdrew, everything returned to normal. His father and the villagers never came back. The next day, when everyone walked out of the armory, they found that the monster had disappeared, as did the corpses of soldiers in the entire camp. Then, they found the corpse of the monster in a tent. Although the monster's skin was hard under the sunlight, it began to melt. The military doctor believed that this was probably caused by its DNA not adapting to the ultraviolet rays. In order to understand better the monsters, the military doctor could only dissect it. The result was beyond his expectation. The internal structure of the monster is the same as that of humans. Lubin started to tell the whole truth. In 1979, an unknown object crashed here, and the Russians immediately sent an investigation team. It was discovered that it was an alien spaceship. There seems to be something inside. In order to get this spaceship, the Soviet Union began to invade Afghanistan. They also used the genetic of humans and monsters to carry out integration experiments. Only then did they research the monster in front of them. Then Alice said something that made everyone even more desperate, according to the news. "There is such a monster in the bunker with the size of an army." Just after finishing speaking, the monster on the table suddenly came alive. Seeing that the monster was about to succeed, Lubin suddenly slammed the grenade and rushed towards the monster. Everyone's idea was to blow up the bunker and prevent the monster from escaping. Several people formed a team and came to the monster's lair. They set up the bombs, and about to leave, the monster suddenly came out and dragged Arthur down. Everyone thought that Arthur might have been murdered and planned to detonate the bomb, but his voice came from the intercom, and they learned that he was still alive. They decided to rescue Arthur first and then blow up the monster's lair. Alice asked the military doctor to stay outside and used the car to control the elevator to pick them up. Just after reaching the depths of the bunker, the military doctor received a signal from the satellite communication. When they heard an alarm, the military told them that a missile would be dropped here in 20 minutes. After hearing this, everyone speeded to search for Arthur. Under the leadership of Alice, they soon came to the laboratory. Following the pipeline on the ground, Alice found a huge container. When she pulled the switch, she was totally stunned. A huge alien creature was soaked in the container and watched them. At this moment, Arthur rushed into the laboratory and worked together to solve the problem. The real crisis began. It turned out that the monster captured Arthur alive to attract people to become their food. The monster approached gradually, and everyone hurriedly escaped from the laboratory and closed the isolation door. Just as they were relaxing, the monster started trying to open the iron door. Seeing this, one of his companions decided to defend by himself to buy time for the others. After everyone rushed to the elevator, they found that a female team member was missing. Arthur told Everytone that after 5 minutes they have to leave no matter what happened. Then he went back to search alone. At this time, the female team member started a fight with the monster. After finishing one, she was attacked by the monster behind her. When Arthur arrived, her companion had already been killed. The man at the door couldn't support it and planned to die with the monster. Arthur hid in time when he heard the sound, so he survived. On the other side, after hearing the urging from Alice and others, the military doctor immediately pressed the button. The car did not pull up the elevator, but instead he began to drive towards the deep pit. At this time, the rebels came and launched a fierce attack on him. Alice and others were also besieged by monsters. One team member was killed by monsters on the spot. Jack was also captured by monsters. Jack found that the watch on the monster's hand belonged to his father. Seeing that the car was about to fall, Jack dragged the monster and let Alice escape alone. When the military doctor was hijacked by rebels and was about to be killed, Arthur and the two saved the military doctor. When they saw the plane in the sky, they drove to the distance. In the end, the whole bunker was blown to the ground, and only 3 people survived.